Hi everyone, thank you for coming back to Philly Phrases. You're back with Jess again, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Baybayin. So for those of you who follow Philly Phrases on Instagram, you'll notice that I post the posts in both the Latin alphabet and also this other alphabet underneath, which is kind of like a combination of squiggly lines and dots. And I get tons of messages from people asking what it is, or if they do know what it is, asking how to go about learning it. So I thought that I'd make this video on Baybayin. So for those of you who don't know, Baybayin is actually the original written language of the Philippines. This Latin alphabet was never used before. It was actually all like this. There are lots of different variations of Baybayin depending on what region in the Philippines you go to, but this is the Tagalog version of Baybayin. They all kind of look mostly similar though. So the reason that people don't really know about Baybayin these days is because of the colonization of the Philippines by Spain. So many of you will know that Spain colonized the Philippines between the years of 1565 to 1898. 1565 to 1898, and during that time lots of Filipino customs and traditions were either modified so that they became slightly more Spanish or just replaced completely with Spanish traditions. And one of the things that did change was language. So lots of you will have noticed that there are some similarities between Tagalog and Spanish. For example, Celia. Celia is derived from the Spanish word silla. Also libro, which is also libro in Spanish. But we do have the Tagalog word for these two words. It's upuan and aklat. So you can already see how the Spanish influenced the language through words like this. But they also influenced the way that things were written. Of course, when they came over to the Philippines, they implemented their way of writing as well. So they taught all Filipinos the Latin alphabet. And over time, as Filipinos were educated in the Spanish way, they started to forget Baybayin. And that's why these days not very many people know how to use Baybayin. But the good news is, it's actually really easy to learn. And once you know how to use it, you can write anything. Don't forget, this is actually just a writing system. It's not a brand new language, it's just the way of spelling things. So you still use the same Tagalog language, you just write it differently. You write it using the traditional script. Before I go through how you start using Baybayin, I just want to give a massive shout out to my Tagalog class, London Filipino Centre, and Baybayin Buhayan Incorporated, who are a non-profit organisation championing the preservation of Filipino culture all over the world. Because without those two organisations, I probably wouldn't have found a way to learn Baybayin and use it in the way that I'm using it now. Although lots of people do know about Baybayin, finding resources on how to learn how to use it are quite slim. So I'm super grateful for these two organisations for helping me to learn Baybayin so that I can share my knowledge with you guys. The links to these two organisations are in the description below. Please do check them out. Please definitely give Baybayin Buhayan Incorporated a follow. They are global, so you can take a look and see if there are any resources or any classes that you could take elsewhere in the world. If you're within the UK, definitely check out London Filipino Centre. They have provided me with an incredible foundation and supportive environment to study Tagalog within. Okay, let's get started. So Baybayin is a syllabary writing system. That means that each letter is a syllable. This actually makes it super easy to learn. And once you know the base letters, you can write anything. So first let me take you through the vowels. There are three. A, E or I is used for both E and I, and O and U, used for both O and U. That's all you need to know for vowels. These are actually only used when the syllable begins with this sound. So for example, aklat, you would use a because it begins with the a syllable. For mainit, which means hot, the second syllable starts with e, so you would use this letter. For upuan, which means chair, that starts with a u. You would use this. And for the third syllable of upuan, that starts with a, so you would use the a. The vowels actually make more sense once you learn the consonants, but I wanted to introduce the vowels first because there are fewer of them. So let's move on to the consonants. There are 14 consonants in Baybayin. We have ka, ga, nga, pa, ba, ma, ta, da or ra, na, ya, la, wa, sa, and ha. Now you'll notice that all of these consonants actually aren't consonants, they are syllables in themselves. They are the consonant with a attached to them. So the base consonant is actually a consonant with the letter A attached to it. So in order to change the vowel that's attached to the consonant from a to any other vowel, you just need to modify the base consonant. So let's take ba as an example. This is ba. So in order to change it to be or b, you just add a dot on the top. It's as simple as that. This ba now turns into b or be. And in order to turn it into bo or bu, you just change the dot from the top to the bottom. So now it's gone from be or b to bo or bu, just by changing the positioning of the dot. That's the same for every single base consonant. So let's look at ka. This is ka. Now with the dot on top, yes, that's ke or ki. And with the dot on the bottom, that's ko or ku. So simple, right? But you might be thinking a consonant actually isn't always followed by a vowel. Yes, you're right. In many situations, the consonant isn't followed by a vowel, and you will need to just use the consonant on its own. And in order to do that, you need to add a diacritical mark. So that is something at the bottom of the consonant which cancels out the vowel. So let's look at ba again. This is ba. So in order to cancel out the vowel, to make it just b, you put either a cross at the bottom. Cross can be a vertical cross like this, or like a multiplication cross. Or you could also use a slash, which I personally find easier when I'm handwriting, which is never. So now ba turns into b. And looking at ka, by adding the diacritical mark, this ka now turns into k or k. So it's as easy as that. There are 3 ways to modify these base consonants to then turn into a bunch of completely different sounds. So let's look at 3 words and see if we can spell them. Salamat. This one is kind of quite easy. It's got 4 syllables and 3 of those are consonants with the R sound attached. So this should be relatively simple. So the 4 syllables are sa, la, ma, and t. So let's match up the Baybayin. So you would choose sa, la, ma, ta, and cancel out the vowel on the ta to just leave the T on its own. So you add a diacritical mark, and that makes salamat. Simple. Let's take a look at another word, mabuhay. Mabuhay also has 4 syllables. Let's break those down. Ma, bu, ha, I. Mabuhay. So let's match up the Baybayin. Ma. Ba needs to be modified into bu, so you add the dot at the bottom. Ha. And ya needs to cancel out the final vowel to just become the y, I. So you just add the diacritical mark to cancel out the a. And then it becomes mabuhay. Okay, let's try a slightly more difficult word. My name. So my name is kind of hard to spell in Baybayin because the letter J doesn't exist in Tagalog anyway, and as you all have noticed, it doesn't exist in Baybayin either. So we've got to think about how Filipino people use the letter J. So if you think about the word dyan, which means there, and probably most commonly heard as Alice Dyan. Oh, the childhood memories. Or even jeepney, or even janitor. J is actually spelled D-Y, and that's how we're gonna spell my name. So let's break down the syllables of my name. Jessica. Even though my name has 3 syllables, it's actually going to be 4 letters in Baybayin, just because J doesn't exist. So, Jessica actually starts with a D. So we have da, and we cancel out the vowel by adding the diacritical mark. So this is D. So to turn it into a J, we need to add a Y, so that it becomes dy, ja. So we have the ya, and we modify that into ye, so that it will be je. So this is je. These 2 letters end up making the one syllable. Then we have sa, and we modify that to si, and then ka at the end. There is no C in Tagalog because the K actually provides that function. So if you were to immediately transcribe this to English letters, it would look like this, which looks nothing like my name. But rest assured, like I said, Baybayin is syllabary. So when you read it and speak it out loud, it sounds exactly the same as how it's written in the Latin alphabet. So now that you've seen how I write my name, please give it a go and write your name in Baybayin in the comments below. I'll check them all. If you let me know your name in English as well, then I'll check and make sure that you've spelt it correctly. So in order for you to be able to write in Baybayin on your phone, there are a number of different apps that you can install to get the Baybayin keyboard. If you're on Android, you can download GBoard, which is the Google keyboard, and there's a Baybayin option on there. And if you're on an iPhone, I believe the app is called Baybayin Keyboard Plus. You can install that, and then you'll be able to see Baybayin in your language settings, and you can add that as a keyboard as well. There are also tons of different Baybayin fonts online that are free to use if you want to download a typeface for your computer and you want to type it on your computer as well. Just stick Baybayin fonts into Google and many will come up. But if you're looking for specific recommended ones, check out Baybayin Buhayan Incorporated. Like I said, the link's below, and they've got some available fonts as well. So guys, I really hope that you take this forward and start championing the use of Baybayin in the future. Since 2018, Baybayin has actually become a recognised national language of the Philippines, and I kind of feel quite strongly about bringing it back into use. If you think about when you go on holiday to other Asian countries like China, Korea, Japan, Thailand, you'll notice that they all have their own script and their own identity when it comes to language. We could have that too, and all it takes is just everyone learning how to use Baybayin and using it day by day a little bit more than they did before. Like I said, it's not learning a brand new language, it's just learning and recognising a different script. It'd be really great if in the future we were to go back to the Philippines and start seeing storefronts using Baybayin again, as well as Latin alphabet Tagalog and English. Like I said, please don't forget to give Baybayin Buhayan Incorporated a check out and a follow, as well as London Filipino Centre. Don't forget to check out the Philly Phrases Instagram and hit that follow button so that you can be updated with the latest content. And finally, thank you so much for watching. Please hit like below and also subscribe to this channel for more videos in the future. See you next time.